All right, we're live. Looks like we're live. We got quite a few people in already. Awesome, guys. So let's get this started. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the most powerful tips about anxiety recovery. Okay, so if you guys have been watching the channel, you know I always say find somebody who's gone through this to guide you through it. Find somebody that's gone through this to guide you through this. Now, here's the truth, right? I had a very strong support structure, which was my family at the time, but I didn't really have anyone really helping me understand what's happening and helping me get out of it. So my biggest teacher was, in fact, anxiety. Everything I learned was really anxiety. Yes, I had the books that I have that I always mention, Dr. Claire Weeks, Hope and Hope for Your Nerves, Paul David's At Last Life. That was it. The rest was all anxiety. Anxiety was my biggest teacher. And the thing I had to learn very quickly was that in order to recover from this, I was going to have to experience anxiety. I was going to have to experience it. I was going to have to experience these physical symptoms. I was going to have to experience these intrusive thoughts. Many of the questions I'm seeing already right now. I was going to have to experience depersonalization, some derealization, and really these weird emotions that was coming with it, right? I had to experience all these things in order to really understand the mechanics. So what I'm going to be talking about is the most powerful tips to overcome this once and for all. So guys, feel free to be asking your questions down below. I'm going to be kind of weaving in your questions in. And so really, again, talking about the biggest tips and tricks. Right now, look, I'm not a big fan of saying that kind of stuff, tips and tricks, because tips and tricks assumes that you only need to do one or two things to focus on anxiety. It tends to be a few things, quite a few things, right? Now, the steps to recovery are very simple. However, what happens is that people end up developing characteristics, certain habits that keep them in the cycle. And so part of doing the simple things about recovery is kind of unlearning things that, unlearning the kind of habits that you've developed. Okay, so let's get into some of these questions right now. Okay, and so some of the questions right away is, people are trying to figure out anxiety. They're trying to figure this out. And so this is why the most important thing is about understanding the mechanics. The biggest tip I can give you is understand how anxiety works. Now, when I say understand how anxiety works, I don't mean in the sense of understanding how anxiety works so that you can make these symptoms go away. Understanding anxiety just for the sake of understanding anxiety. So look at some of these questions. Kim asks, does anxiety harm you? I can tell you right now that's a fear that she has. It was a fear that I had too. It feels so dangerous. And so the truth is, does anxiety harm you? Does anxiety make you go crazy? Does it leave any long-term damage? It's very important to understand these mechanics. It's very important to understand what's happening here. And so the key is that if you understand the mechanics, these kinds of questions won't pop up, because you won't get confused, right? I always give the example of, imagine you have a heart palpitation. Let's say people that are struggling with heart palpitations. I like to give this example a lot because it's very clear cut, right? It's very simple to understand. People call it cardiophobia, whatever. It doesn't matter what the name is. But the key is that, let's say if you're afraid of a palpitation. Now, let's say you're having palpitations and you're afraid it's the onset of a heart attack. Or let's say you're not going to have a heart attack, but you're afraid that your heart palpitating so much may lead to long-term heart damage. Now, think about it this way. Do you think that would keep your anxiety alive or not alive? And so what it would do is that it would keep your anxiety alive. You'd be fearful of the anxiety, right? You'd be fearful of something. Now, think about it this way. If the issue is anxiety, if you're focused on the heart in these what-if scenarios, these justifications for being anxious, well, then isn't it the right thing for the anxiety to stay alive? Isn't it possible that the anxiety needing to stay alive is justified? So what happens is that the heart palpitations that are due to anxiety, well, now the anxiety is justified, so it's staying alive. So that's why I say it's very, very important to understand the mechanics. That's the first step. That's the biggest thing I've worked on this channel. That's the number one thing I've worked on, which is you need to first even understand what's happening. So the answer is, does it harm you? Absolutely not. But everyone has this fear. It's going to harm me. Panic attacks can make me pass out. Derealization means I'm going, it's a justification that I'm going crazy. These intrusive thoughts mean I'm going mad. These physical symptoms mean, you know, I have some malignant disease or something like that. Let me grab my chart 1 second, guys. And so you're experiencing all these different things, mostly because you just don't know what's happening. So it's very important to understand the mechanics first, right? Again, plenty of resources out there, plenty of resources. You guys don't even have to follow my channel. Again, I always say Dr. Claire Weeks, Hope and Help for Your Nerves. She's great. At Last Life by Paul David. He has that's his book. He also has a great blog, anxietynomore.co.uk. Fantastic. Anxiety Center is great. anxietycenter.org, I think. I think it's a UK base. So I think center is spelled like CENTRE. And what else? God, there's so many. Barry McDonough. Barry McDonough is great. And so all these people really help you understand. And, you know, if you're like, look, Shaan, I kind of want to like work with somebody like a therapist, well, then that's cool. Work with somebody that is an anxiety specialized therapist, someone that really understands anxiety. And if you're really struggling with depersonalization, derealization, make sure they have some familiarity with trauma too, because they go hand in hand quite a bit, but it's a good idea to have an understanding there. So let me get through a couple more questions and I'll kind of break it down to these important tricks, okay, and tips that are super critical. Thank you, Shaan, for doing this. Will this video be saved and uploaded later? Yes, absolutely. Can you talk about setbacks? Again, I've made, countless videos on these. Countless videos. To the point where I can't say anything new about setbacks. You know, there's nothing, you know, I've kind of broke it down. There's nothing new to add. I've kind of said everything about setbacks. Now it's just a matter of applying what I've shown and really focusing on setbacks. Really what the question is how do I make setbacks go away, which is the whole problem. Because again, it goes back to understanding the mechanics of anxiety. If you understand that you trying to make this go away is part of the problem, well, you're already on the steps to recovery. Again, look, I had to learn this because really anxiety was my teacher, right? Books are great, right? Books are great for giving me information, maybe even for mindset, but keeping me accountable, making sure I was doing things right, having somebody observe me, I didn't really have that. Anxiety was the only thing. So that's what I really had to focus on. So again, guys, I always say this, find somebody who's gone through this, trust them, and then move forward. Have them guide you. And if you guys want to join the mentorship, you guys can apply, buybypanicapply.com. Let me just go ahead and type it in right here, just in case. And so that's it. That's the mentorship. Yes, the mentorship costs. If you guys don't want to pay, bunch of free content, but there really is no excuse not to recover. Not in this day and age. There were people in the past, guys. You guys don't understand this. There was a lot of people in the past that had to figure this out on their own. They didn't have the right guidance. There weren't that many anxiety healers out there that were talking about it. And we kind of had to figure it out on our own. You guys have way more resources, right? So if you guys are still struggling, well, maybe it's a good idea to kind of focus on, don't think how, think who. Who's gone there? Who is where you want them, where you want to be? Who's somebody who's gone through this, or at least help people go through this and be like, okay, who is that person? Rather than thinking, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Well, look, guys, if this is really important to you, invest in things that are important to you, right? Because at the end, guys, like, let's be real, right? Like, this is your life. It's really important that you guys get this stuff handled and taken care of and not make this a problem. There's plenty of problems in the world. This isn't one of them. It shouldn't be. I know right now it is, but the focus should be more on long-term freedom and really getting out of this and really investing in yourself there, right? So one of the first mistakes people are making, and even I can guarantee you, everybody that's on this live is making this mistake. Everybody. Unless you're in my mentorship. If you guys are watching, then you shouldn't be making this mistake, which is not being so focused on how you feel. That's one of the most powerful tips you guys could get from your recovery. The people that recover incredibly fast, where I'm even surprised. I'm like, whoa, that was quick. Wow, you're really doing good. Okay, cool. Well, that's amazing. Let's keep a closer eye on you. When I always see those people, it's those people that give up the fight of trying to fix this, meaning they don't care so much about how they feel anymore. The differential between someone who recovers and those people that are always struggling is the fact that those people that recover understand that them hyper focusing on their feelings isn't helping. It's not helping, right? Let's be real here. Most people think that, oh, okay, I'm hyper aware, but I still can't figure this out. Well, maybe I need to become more hyper aware. And so the fact is that the focus needs to be more on being less hyper aware. And so not caring so much about how you feel. Now, how do you get to that point? How do you get to the point where you don't care so much how you feel? Again, going back to the basics, which is understanding how anxiety works. One of the key principles about anxiety is something called sensitization, right? Sensitization means this. You have a nervous system designed to protect you, right? It handles all these stress. But there is a threshold. Typically, this happens with people when they get their first panic attack. So let's say they get their first panic attack. They didn't know what it was. Something happens to the nervous system. And by the way, if you haven't gotten your first panic attack or it didn't start off with a panic attack, this doesn't mean it's different, right? It just means that all of our bodies are a little bit different and manifest anxiety differently. For some people, they get certain symptoms. For some people, they get other symptoms. That doesn't mean you have two different problems, right? Think about the flu, right? Some people can have a headache, malaise, and maybe a headache. And let's say a fever. And the other person only has cold chills and shivering and a fever. They don't really have one-to-one symptoms, but yet what's the issue? They have the flu. Anxiety is kind of the same way, which is just because you have different people experiencing different things, the underlying issue is the fact that there's a stress response that is overly sensitized. So back to sensitization. So you have sensitization, right? Your nervous system is sensitive, meaning small things will make your nervous system respond in an exaggerated manner. So again, it's really important to understand that sensitization really is what's causing these symptoms to be there. This is why you're experiencing very bizarre symptoms, right? You're experiencing very, very, very bizarre symptoms. So if you understand sensitization, well, then it goes back to the main point, which is, why do you need to figure out what's happening? You don't. Why? Well, it's all due to anxiety. Your nervous system is sensitized. So if you know that, then do you need to figure out how you're feeling 24/7? No, you let it be there, right? If your leg is broken, right, and you're in a cast, are you always trying to feel your leg? No, you know it's broken. So you just leave it. You just let it heal. You're not trying to figure, where is it? Is it going to be like this? Is it going to be like this? How's the bone going to feel? No, you just give it space. But what happens with people with anxiety? They're always trying to figure out how they feel, not trusting their body. And then what happens? They're screwing up the recovery journey. They're screwing it up. Rather than giving their body and their mind a chance to relax and be able to heal these nerves, you're adding extra pressure. So the body's saying, I really need to heal this, but there's clearly some stress that Shaan's going through. So I need to add more pressure. I guess I need to stay sensitized for a little bit longer. This is why. Key principle here. How you feel does not matter. I know it sounds insensitive too, right? Because we kind of grew up thinking, I thought the same thing. Growing up, how you feel, having the gut instinct. One of the biggest things that kept me in the cycle was the fact that I knew something wasn't right. Say whatever you want to me, I knew something wasn't right. No matter everybody telling me things were okay. There's nothing wrong. My dad would say, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. My sister would say, nothing's wrong. My mom would say, nothing is wrong. But I knew, no. Something's not right. I've never felt this before. And I was hoping the doctors could at least answer what was happening, but they couldn't do it. And so one of the things about recovery that really kicked off my recovery journey was this notion of, it's okay how you feel. It doesn't matter so much. And so once I understood, I was feeling this way because I was sensitized, well, then I stopped trying to figure out how I felt. I understood that I was sensitized and I knew this was going to take some time. So the key is that not focusing so much on how you feel. So let's go through some of the comments here, okay? Because I guarantee you the comments are going to be coming from the same frame, trying to fix, hey, I feel this way, I feel this way, being very hyper aware of how they feel. So let's read some of it, and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. Okay. So I'm trying to recover, but I cannot understand if I have setbacks or if I'm doing nothing at all. Again, is this a setback or is it not? Focusing a lot on how they feel, right? Whether it's a setback or not, doesn't really matter. Setbacks, you got to understand, why do we say the term setbacks? The reason why we say the term setbacks is because so that people don't get floored when that happens. Here's what I mean. When a lot of people have kind of like a misunderstanding of how anxiety recovery looks like, they think sometimes you just wake up and all this is gone. This kind of, I find these with people that are brand new in this cycle, super brand new. They just feel like, oh, I'm just going to wake up and it's going to be gone. That's not really how it works. Now, people that kind of struggle for a little bit longer, they feel like recovery is just better. Days get better, and then you're out, right? Again, it's not like that. It's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Now, as you're making progress, there are going to be days where anxiety hits you really hard. The symptoms come back. Your nerves are really sensitized. You're producing a lot of adrenaline, cortisol. And so what happens, it feels like all your symptoms come back. The reason why we say setbacks is so that you know that happens. But what happens oftentimes is people try to judge their progress on whether it's a setback. They're anticipating a setback. The goal for you isn't to identify what's a setback or what's not. The goal is just for you to know that setbacks are inevitable in the journey. That's all. That's all. Even what is a setback and what's not is subjective. What you feel right now may be a setback, but someone else that may experience the same thing may not consider it a setback. It may be a bad day for them. Again, setback or not, what's the difference? Solution's the same, right? Is the solution, think about it. Okay, if you had a setback and that made the solution different, okay, I understand. But the solution is still the same. So that's the key here, right? To anyone suffering, partially that to Shaan, I'm fully recovered after years of suffering. Hang in there. America says, listen to this guy. He knows his stuff. America's on my team. If you guys are in the Facebook group, she's very active there. She's on the team. We even did a success story together. You should check it out. America's a rock star, to be quite honest with you. Like, our team is like we rely heavily on America. America picks up a lot of weight. Like a lot. So so here's another question to figure out all this stuff, right? My anxiety physical symptoms tend to get worse in the morning and late afternoon. Does anxiety sometimes follow a pattern? So let me ask you this. Are you trying to figure this out or are you trying to respond? Well, again, what is one of the key tricks and tips and one of the key principles about recovery? Not trying to figure, not putting so much focus on how you feel. Whether it's in the evening, doesn't matter. But the truth is that if you understand the mechanics of anxiety, a lot of these questions get resolved in itself. So the truth is that if you guys know this, I would say 75% of you guys that are on this live right now probably experience morning anxiety. And now there's reason why that happens. And so how does that happen? Again, it's about understanding the mechanics of anxiety. What I would say is watch my morning anxiety videos. I think I have like 2 or 3. Again, it's one of those things where what can I add at this point? It's kind of, I said a few things, there's not much else to say. So I would highly recommend you guys watching that video if you're experiencing morning anxiety. Now, sometimes it'll happen in the morning and in the evening. Oh, well, why does that happen? After a certain point, once you understand the general framework, now it's about focusing on recovery. Understanding alone won't get you to recovery. Watching my videos won't get you to recovery. Reading my book, watching anybody's stuff. Recovery doesn't happen behind a screen. Recovery happens when you go back to living and when you actually respond with the correct steps. I want you guys to understand this. If you guys are using my channel, it's too much as a safety thing. I appreciate it. I made this channel for you. I'm very clear about something. I know the second I stop talking about anxiety, you guys aren't going to care. I wouldn't blame you guys. I only focus on giving value, right? I know the second I stop giving value, you guys are going to watch me. I don't blame you guys. I wouldn't watch me either. I still don't watch me. But the key is that the focus should be is like, once you understand a few principles, then recovery happens outside. And if you're looking at my channel or anyone else's channel or anyone's book as salvation, not going to work. You just have to understand a few things and then move forward. The best bet is not trying to figure this out. Literally, if you want to keep recovery super simple, which is you don't have to figure this out and don't care so much about how you feel. I said that was the simplest way, but you know that that's the hardest way. And sometimes you guys won't be able to let go of that. You can't say, well, no, I just can't accept it and allow it. I need to understand this. If that's the case, then understand it. But if you're looking for the fastest way, number one, which is understand what's happening. 2, stop trying to fix this. Now, this brings me up to the second principle, right? So the first principle is not really focusing so much on how you feel. Number 2, actually, let me get to some of the comments, and I'll bring up number 2 in a second. Will Sapp says, what's up, buddy? Your mentorship is amazing. Thank you, man. My guy, you have changed so much in my life. Thank you you bet, man. Thank you. Was lost before the mentorship. The group makes you understand and not focus on what you feel and live. Thank you. You guys are so nice. But I'm going to try to, I may skip some. If you guys said thank you, I really appreciate it, but I want to kind of give some value. So I'm probably going to be calling out a few questions to explain. Ooh, okay. My boy, Improvement Path himself asks a really great question. Improvement Path, if you're here, bro, I'm going to send you a DM, by the way. I haven't yet, but I will. So stay tuned for that. I really want to connect with you, man. So the question is, big hi, quick question, because it's something I'm super interested in. What is your stance on meditation for recovery? I'm going to take a sip of water for that. Now, here's the truth, okay? This isn't a flex or anything like that, but I meditate every day. Every day in the morning, that's the first thing I do. I brush my teeth, I take my dog out, and then I come in and I sit outside. I don't know if you guys can see it. My place is kind of dirty, but outside over there, I have a little chair and I meditate. Or sometimes I'll meditate on the floor, depending on the weather. Sometimes I'll meditate like here, but I meditate every day. Now, here's the thing. In the mentorship, I don't tell anybody to meditate. I say it's not necessary for recovery. Here's why. When you guys are focused on recovery, I know what's kind of going through your mind. You're really trying to expedite trying to feel better. And so what happens is that if I tell you guys do this, do that, do this, people that struggle with anxiety take it too far. And so here's what they do typically. And you'll see this. Shaan, I tried meditating and my anxiety was still there. Shaan, I tried meditating, but I felt like my anxiety went up when I started meditating in the beginning. Now, what's happening here? What's really happening here is that they're using meditation, again, as a sophisticated form of avoiding. True meditation is not about avoiding. True meditation is about letting everything happen. So what tends to happen is that if you try to meditate, and you guys can try this for yourself, you'll notice your anxiety goes up. Now, a lot of people that are struggling don't have the resilience for that. When their anxiety goes up, they go into panic mode again. They go into fix-it mode. Oh no, why does this happen? Oh my God, my anxiety went up again. That means I'm doing something wrong. Oh no, meditation didn't help. So the idea of meditation isn't to escape the anxiety. You don't. And as they get better, then I say, did I disconnect, guys? Sorry, let me know if I disconnected. But I'm gonna read that. So I tell them don't meditate right now because it's not really gonna work, and it kind of it can complicate things, right? Because they can be like, well, Shaan, I meditated, it didn't work. Okay, Shaan, I meditated, but I'm feeling the same. And so the idea is like, okay, hold off on that. So I tell them don't even do any of those things. Yoga, meditation, all those things, push that stuff aside. Here's what I say. Here's what I always say. If you're gonna do it for yourself. Do it for health. Don't do it for anxiety, right? So don't Don't use meditation to escape your anxiety. Use meditation just for yourself. Now, if you get deeper into meditation, you'll learn there's no goal for meditation, right? I mean, it depends. I mean, there's so many different forms. Saying the word meditation doesn't mean much, but part of meditating, right? You're a human being. You're not human doing, human being, right? So a lot of it is just being for the sake of being. But when you're with anxiety, it's kind of hard to come from that frame because you're sensitized. You're always thinking about doing. You always think about doing it. Yeah, and improvement path saying, love the answer. Thanks, Shaan. It's funny how similar the paths are. I feel the same way. Yeah, and I figured improvement path, you'd be doing the same thing. I figured because I like your channel. And I mean, I think we kind of say the same thing, which is amazing, guys. If you guys look, by the way, follow Improvement Path, great channel. But if you notice, we don't even know each other really, but we kind of had our own anxiety recovery journey, and there's certain principles that are the same. Even though he had his own journey, I had my own journey, we kind of came up with the same conclusions, which really does tell you that as personal as anxiety is, there's certain fundamental laws and principles that are really universal. And if you can focus on those principles, recovery, in my opinion, is inevitable. And so back to the meditation, kind of focusing on how you feel. Well, if you're kind of focused so much on doing something, and meditation is the opposite, that brings me up to my second point, which is stop trying to focus on doing something for the anxiety, right? Everyone's trying to do something here for their anxiety, but recovery is not about doing. Okay, it gets really weird. This is like this weird paradox, which is you don't want to be doing something for the anxiety. Shaan, I feel this. What do I do? Shaan, how do I deal with? Both those kinds of questions like that, imply that you have to do something to fix it. It implies that you have to do something. Why? Because something's wrong. Both subcommunication is wrong. That's the main thing about anxiety. Anxiety always, you feel like you must do something about it. You have to do something to make this go away. I'm feeling depersonalized, derealized. I'm having intrusive thoughts. I'm getting physical symptoms. I need to do something. Now, here's the interesting thing. The second you do something, you fall back into the cycle. If you're doing something, that assumes something's wrong. Now, if something is wrong, is your nervous system going to calm down, or is it going to be heightened? It's not. It's going to be heightened because you're doing something. So if you can come from a single frame, the frame should be about not doing anything, right? What was the first thing I said? Not focusing so much on how you feel. Why am I telling you not to focus so much on how you feel? Well, because if the reason why you're focused so much on how you feel is that, well, you want this, if you can understand how you're feeling, well, then maybe you can do something to fix it, right? Think about it. Why be so hyper aware of how you feel? The reason why you're hyper aware is because if you can figure out what's triggering you, what is it? Oh, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way. Well, then maybe you can figure out what's causing this. Again, it comes from a doing nature, right? And so the whole idea is that once you understand the mechanics, well, then you realize you're sensitized, and then you don't really need to do anything about it, right? You don't need to do anything about this. That was the biggest key to my recovery, which was this idea that, look, man, you don't have to do something for this. You don't have to fix this. In fact, it's you compulsively keeping this alive, right? Again, that's kind of hard to understand because, look, if I'm feeling anxious, whether I do something or not, it's still there, right? I get that. But what I never understood was, okay, it's there because of all the past times you did something. So if you want to break the cycle, we'll stop doing it. Does that mean the anxiety will still be there? Yes. Yes, it will be there. But overthink about their anxiety to make it go away. But middle step in between is once you stop doing this, well, then you stop caring. Once you stop caring whether the symptom, that the indifference threshold, once you get to the point where you don't care so much, well, then whether the symptom is there or not, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. A lot of my clients they experience this weird limbo, and it's kind of bizarre for them because what happens is that they start experiencing they still have the symptoms, but they don't care so much. So oftentimes the questions I will get asked is, Shaan, like, I don't know if I'm faking this. Sometimes my clients are like, am I faking this? Am I faking this because I've enrolled in your mentorship? And so I want to feel better. So I'm like convincing myself I'm feeling better because the symptoms are still there, but I just don't care so much. I say, no, that's part of the recovery journey. It's not about overcoming this while you care about the symptoms, right? It's not about conquering these symptoms. It's the opposite. It's about not caring so much. And then when you not care, well, then it disappears, right? I gave this example a long time ago in one of my videos, maybe not that long, but I did give it. It's kind of a breakup, right? Like imagine, let's say you're in love with somebody and they were your world and they broke things off. Now you're devastated. Now you're doing everything to try to bring them back. Now, what happens when you do that? What happens when you try to chase them? When you try to do this, when you do that? They get actually a little bit extra validated by you. And because they get validated, they kind of get pushed away. Now, this is a rule of thumb, right? I'm not saying this happens in every situation, but that tends to happen, which is, oh, okay, wow, okay, I'm getting a little validated. Okay, that's kind of creepy. Like they're still kind of chasing me, even though I told them it was over. So you're trying to chase, but then what happens is that you kind of push them away more. That's kind of like anxiety recovery. If you're trying to feel normal, it kind of like pushes, it's like, no, like normalcy goes away. But then what happens? Okay, let's say you break up and you finally accept it. Okay, it's over. It's done. Game over. That's it. Move on. Now you still feel sad. You still feel like the yearning for that person, but you let it be there and you keep moving forward. And then you get busy. And then you start hanging out with your friends. And then you start meeting cool people. And now what happens? Well, now you start living your life and you're cool. And let's say you're on Instagram and like you're posting stories of you having all and meeting new people and dating exciting people. Well, now your ex is looking and was like, oh my God, like this person was like, he's having so much fun. That's amazing. And then so that's the key. Symptoms are not, it doesn't, Shaan, I accepted and it's not going away. So acceptance doesn't work. That's accepted. That's conditional. Then that's not acceptance, right? Think about it as recovery. If you can accept the fact that this is going to be there, well, then recovery is yours. It's always the people that are chasing recovery. There's always people that are trying to find that quick fix, that are doing everything in their power to make this go away. Ironically, they're always struggling the longest. This is why when people recover, it's not a big deal because they've let go of the fight. They stop trying to analyze how they feel. They stop trying to do something about it. Again, do you see how these principles are kind of stacking on top of each other? These tips are stacking on top of each other. They're not trying to fix this. They're not trying to do something about this. They don't care so much about how they feel. They genuinely don't. This isn't just a saying, oh, I don't care, but deep down you do care. No, this is really an attitude. I really don't care what it does to me. I understand the mechanics of anxiety, and now I don't care so much because I know now how it works and let it do whatever it wants. I don't care, and then you move forward, and then what happens? Then recovery is yours. Then you get back with your ex. So, that's kind of how it is. So let me go ahead and get into a few more questions. It looks like we're doing well on time. I'm actually quite surprised. Normally I'm rambling a bit. What's your opinion on DARE response? Love it. I don't care if it's the DARE response. I don't care if it's float. I use this AWARE acronym. I didn't even make that up. I took that from David Carbonell. I don't care. Again, focus on principles, not acronyms, whether it's the DARE response, whether it's float by Claire Weeks. I think Paul David had fear. What's the underlying sub-communication there? Just let it be. Just accept. Stop resisting. That's it. Whatever acronym you want. Honestly, at this point with my clients, I don't even use an acronym. I even let go of AWARE. I just say allow it to be there. Allow and accept. I don't even use an acronym anymore because that's the key, right? If it's a principle, if it's an attitude, it's not so focused on the technique. This is why I also don't like techniques too much. Techniques are just roadmaps. It's just like signposts. But people start looking for, like, people think the signpost is the thing. The signpost isn't the thing. It just kind of, it's kind of more of it's more of a scaffold for you. It's to help you on the journey, but it's not the solution in itself. It's like chasing a puppy. Exactly. Have you guys ever, there's this meme I saw, which was like, you know, oh, I forgot what it was, but it was like, you know, like, have you ever tried to chase a dog and think it's a game and the dog thinks it's a game? How frustrating that is. That's kind of like recovery. If you're chasing it, it's just going to run away and you're just like, just stay for a second, you know? So it's a different approach. Okay, good point. Okay, Maria, isn't what I'm feeling doesn't matter like avoidance, what I'm feeling? How do I know I'm not avoiding? Okay, so not quite. So it's not about saying, oh, like trying to not care, but it's not about doing anything about it, right? It's not about caring so much about trying to fix it. It's not about trying to ignore how you feel, right? Not caring so much is not the same. It's not the same thing as ignoring it. I'm not saying ignore it, because people do that too. They try ignoring it, and then what happens is that it becomes a major distraction. Now, distraction does help, but it's unsustainable, right? And look, we're in a global pandemic. A lot of things were down for a year. Everyone that was trying to distract, they ended up joining the mentorship because it's not sustainable. And so what happens is that you don't want to use distraction. You want to, there's a difference between distraction and allowing feeling burning itself out, letting it be there, not making a big deal out of it, and now watching Netflix. So if you see the actions are the same, but the intentions are different. One person is using Netflix as a way to escape. The other person has validated how they felt and then chose not to engage and watch Netflix instead. Intentions are everything when it comes to recovery, everything. It's not so. This is why two people could be going to a yoga class and one person can be falling deeper into the cycle and another person can actually be focusing on recovery, even though from the outside they're doing the same thing. Intentions matter. Intentions really do matter. That's why understanding what's happening, and again, only you can really understand. We can show you how things work, but until you grasp it, you have that aha moment, it doesn't really help. It's very frustrating for me, guys, sometimes, because like I care a lot about the clients because I see myself in every single person. And so when I see somebody that's struggling, it reminds me of me struggling, or if I don't see people recover, I literally think that could have been me. That could have been me. And so I have like more of a vested interest. And sometimes I kind of go above and beyond a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I get too much into it, which is kind of a problem in itself. But the key is that I can only show them how to get out. But recovery is 100% on you. There's nothing I can. Look, if I could get all you guys to recovery, I'd do it myself. I would literally just push you out of the way and say, let me just do it myself, get you to recover. But I can't do that. You know, it's like that phrase, like, you know, you can take a horse to the lake or whatever, but you can't make it drink water. I can't do that. I can only show you the door. And I can tell you what's behind the door. I'm like, look, it's all going to be okay. You got to trust me. But you're the one that has to walk. You're the one that has to open the door. And so that's the key. That's the key. Now, that's kind of hopeful because that means recovery really is in your own hands. You know, a lot of people feel like recovery is something outside. They're like, well, I can't control it. If I could recover, I would recover. But because I can't, that means maybe it's genetics, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But the thing is that they're just not focused on the right steps. But if you understand the right steps, then recovery was 100% within your hands, 100%. You know, and Sadhguru is like, you know, if you guys watch his videos, it's cool and stuff. Like he's a mystic. You know, he teaches like yoga and he does a lot of different things. But he said something really interesting, which was he just defined like this kind of stuff is like, you know, we have all these fancy ways of just saying that your intelligence is working against you. That's all anxiety is. That's all depersonalization, derealization. All it is that it's your intelligence working against you. That's it. But it's your intelligence. And it's very important to understand that your intelligence works for you, not the other way around. All that's happened is that your intelligence got a little bit confused and now it's working against you. Right? That's all that's happened. You have to show it. No, you're the master. I always look at anxiety as a monster. I actually do. but it's not a monster you can fight. If you fight the monster, you will lose. You will 100% lose. You cannot win this battle. The goal is about making the monster on your side. That's anxiety. It's not about fighting. You will lose. 1000% you will lose. You will. It's a no-win game. But it's not about trying to beat it. It's about having it on your side. That's recovery. And so that's part of, the intelligence working for you, not against you. And the truth is that if your intelligence works against you, nobody in the world can help you. Nobody in the world. There's no substitute. You have to understand what's happening, and then you have to focus. But all I can show you, the way I can give you all the answers. Recovery stories. Okay, fine. So then I started posting recovery stories and people actually making progress, people doing better. I started sharing my story. Then they're like, oh, well, what if Shaan is lying? Or what if he's a marketer? What if he's this? What if he's that? Okay, fine. Here's some other people. And so I hear some other success stories. Oh, well, those people are actors and I'm like, oh, I can't win. Even if I showed you guys a million success stories, it doesn't matter. Every time there's people on this group that say they're getting better. So it's like, just remind yourself that no matter what you think, people are still recovering. But sometimes if people feel like recovery is not possible, there's nothing you can do. Can't help them. You really can't help them. That's why, even in the mentorship, we're very focused, and it is an investment because we want people to have skin in the game. We need people to have skin in the game. That's why we tell people, hey, mentorship does cost. If you want to go free, that's fine. But if you're serious about recovery, there's a lot of things you have to let go of. And for that, we need some skin in the game. So let's read some of the comments. God, you guys have a lot. This is awesome. Dave Smith says, I think he was responding to Jennifer about derealization, dizziness. And he's right. Look at this. Dave Smith says, Jennifer, I had both of these and they're gone now. It's annoying, but the less you care, the faster it goes away. That's the annoying part. It's almost like you want to care more, and care more, you make it go away, but this is the opposite. You have to care less. I agree, Dave. Well said. And see, I could tell. See, he's gotten better. He knows it. He knows what to do. People that get better know this stuff. It's always people that are still struggling that kind of have a rough time understanding this. But once you can understand this, then you know what to do. Long-term knowledge and wisdom is better than short-term bliss and ignorance. It's true. I actually feel like I was ignorant before anxiety. I feel like anxiety woke me up. I feel like anxiety, I was awake, it sounds kind of like a spiritual thing, but it's just, again, recovery is very personal and you can take it how it is. Dave Smith, man, awesome job responding to some of these people. So, sometimes I just want to sit and just read y'all's comments. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Video's done. I'm just going to go ahead and read y'all's comments. But because I can't really do two things at once. I've never been good at that. I can't film and read. I have to just film, or I'm just reading. I can't do both. My team knows this about me. They make a lot of fun of me for it. Let me see what other questions I can get into. So just to recap, again, some of the tips and tricks, right? Some of the main tips, not caring so much about how you feel. That's not the same thing as ignoring. It's not the same thing. That's validating how you feel, but letting it be there. What most people do is that they make a big story out of it. They make this awesome, big, grandiose narrative. Oh, I feel this way. Maybe it's because the doctor missed something. And maybe it's because something that happened to me when I was 15 that's now resurfacing. Or it could just mean it's just anxiety, and you just let it be there. Validate it, recognize it's there, and then just let it be there. That's number one. Number two, shifting from doing it, doing something to make it go away, to not doing something. right? So ask yourself when you're like, oh, but what about this? Ask yourself the follow-up question. Okay, well, is that doing something about it or is that not doing something about it? Right? And then what was the third thing that I said? I don't remember. You guys can rewind it. This is kind of off the dome. Yeah, I don't remember. This guy's a hero. I never knew there would be hope in recovery, but there is. Thanks, Shaan. You bet. Please keep coming live. You bet. I'm going to try to do it more. My team has even asked me to do more. It's just I got so focused with the mentorship. I got so focused on it that I just stopped producing content. But I'm going back to it. And now I have even a bigger team that's like even helping support with the clients and stuff. And obviously I'm always going to be with them, but like it gives me a little bit more time to like make videos. Like the cinematic video that you guys saw, that kind of story where my family was involved, definitely going more towards like those kinds of directions and directions that kind of normalize what you're going through and really giving you guys step-by-step stuff. That while focusing really on the recovery journey. Again, our main focus are the people in the mentorship because they've invested and we're really guiding them. Again, I'm giving you guys just general info. You know, I'm not giving you guys targeted info based on your specific situations because I don't know y'all's situations. So again, if you're looking for that targeted info, if you're really focused on guiding, then again, apply to the mentorship and see if you're a good fit. Again, if you guys don't want to do that, and you guys want to figure it out on your own, that's totally fine. But if you guys want to apply, remember, you gotta have some skin in the game. So, because we can show you there. Like we've helped people over the last year. We've had people in 75 different countries go through the mentorship in just the last year. And a lot of the people that went into the mentorship were doctors, nurses, physical therapists. We've had influencers. We've had musicians. We've had like musicians, not just like one. We've had like 4 or 5 like musicians. We've had like engineers, lawyers, yoga teachers. We've even had therapists in the program. We've had a few therapists, and now they're helping their clients a bit more. And like again, it's like amazing stuff. Doesn't matter who you are. Anxiety really doesn't discriminate. So that's the thing. Yeah, Caesar, Kaylee, America. Yeah, we're gonna invite them to more lives. My coaches, the ones that are guiding, and I'm gonna have them come in a little bit more. And again, even the clients that are doing really well, I have a tough time. I just don't have the time right now. I can't even invite them, even though they're doing better. And they're like, yeah, I want to do a success story. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I can't coordinate because, so just know that so many people are recovering. And it's almost to the point where it's so much where it's hard for me to like schedule time, but I'm working on it. Okay. And I'm still going to be coming up with a lot more lives. These are really easy for me to do. I kind of think about it. I don't even think about it. I just film. I just go live. And so, yeah, I'll try to do these more. I really appreciate it. Cool, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, this is going to be on my channel, so feel free to watch it again. And good luck. Okay, everybody, keep going. Again, bunch of free content. A lot of the questions I'm saying, I've already made videos on it. And again, if you really want to really try to expedite the process and really have some, somebody just mentor you, you guys can apply. But I wish you guys all the best. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Take it easy.